Today's video is brought to you by Squarespace. In anime, it feels as though we're always waiting for the bigger bad to show up. Yeah, Orochimaru seemed powerful, but then there was Pain, and yeah, Pain seemed powerful, but then there was Obito, and yeah, Obito seemed powerful, but then there was Madara, then Madara seemed powerful, and then there was Kaguya, and then Kaguya seemed powerful, and then there was Momoshiki, and then Momoshiki seemed powerful, and then there was Ishiki. And Naruto is not an exception in this matter. Every single shonen anime that runs for several hundred episodes has to continuously scale up in power. Why, you ask? Because you wouldn't watch otherwise. If Naruto was just busting out Shadow Clones and Rasengan every single episode, eventually it would get a bit old. Eventually we had to get the Jin Cloak and the Rasen Shuriken and Kurama Chakra modes, because otherwise you would get bored. Yes, I'm looking directly at you. But what happens when a show is given its final boss? Better yet, what happens when a universe is given its final boss? For months, if not years, we thought this final boss was Kaguya, and then it was revealed to us that it was Momoshiki, and then it was revealed to us that it was Ishiki. But in the back of our minds, we always knew that there was some greatest bad out there. The worst of the worst, the strongest amongst the evil. Some godlike entity that ruled over the entirety of Naruto's universe. Some being who would make the power of Ishiki and Momoshiki and Kaguya seem trivial. And recently, as in a matter of weeks ago, we were given that. See, listen, I know a lot of you who are watching this video do not watch Boruto. And a lot of you that are watching this video may not even read Boruto. By the way, highly recommend reading it. It's actually a very good manga. But even if you do not keep up with Boruto, the news coming out of Boruto right now is important for you, even just as a Naruto fan. Because the news that recently came out of Boruto could mean a lot for both Naruto, Boruto, and the entire universe. So whether you love or hate Boruto, this is a very important episode for you to check in for. Because with the reveal of Shibai Otsutsuki, the god of the Otsutsuki, there is a lot that could happen. Most specifically, any dead character could hypothetically be brought back to life. And I'm not talking Edo Tensei. And I've reason to believe there's a solid chance some of your favorite characters could be coming back to life. But before I tell you how we might be able to see people like Itachi return to the story, please guys, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you love listening to me talk about manga, then you're gonna love my other page, The Weeb Commander, where I talk about every manga that's not Naruto. Before we get into all that, guys, today we gotta talk about a brand new sponsor to the page, Squarespace. Squarespace is a one-stop shop for helping you build your brand. Whether that brand be clothing, custom stickers, or food, Squarespace can help you grow your business. Squarespace provides you the tools to build a beautiful website. A website that will both help you engage with your audience and sell your product. But what are some of these tools that Squarespace provides you? Squarespace provides the tool of member areas, where creators like myself can put content behind a paywall that only those who pay to be members can access, thus creating a different revenue stream for creators or anybody who wants to put any kind of content behind a gate. But since we're talking about content, Squarespace also has a video studio tool, a tool that allows you to make beautiful videos effortlessly. This studio editor allows you to make engaging and interesting videos for your audience, and you can see how much your audience is enjoying your brand by using the analytics that are built into Squarespace. These analytics not only offer insight into how your business and or brand is doing, they also offer you insights on how to better improve those things. You can learn where site visits and sales are coming from and how best to capitalize on those visits. So what are you guys waiting for? Go to squarespace.com today for a free trial. And when you're ready to start your Squarespace adventure, use the code squarespace.com/nchammer23 for 10% off your order. So what are you guys waiting for? Build that brand and maybe you'll be the person advertising for Squarespace next. So while I would absolutely love to just jump into our theory and tell you about how there's a possibility that Itachi might be returning to Boruto's timeline, there are a couple of things I need to explain to you so you can understand just what it is I'm talking about and why this theory actually makes sense. So let's go ahead and start this video off in the way that we usually start these videos off, at the beginning. But the beginning here is thousands of years prior to Naruto's timeline. See, for those of you who have been avoiding Boruto like the plague, your understanding of the Otsutsuki is rather limited, and that's fine. If you don't want to be tapped into Boruto, you don't have to be. Even if you've just watched Naruto, you'll understand that the Otsutsuki scour the universe looking for planets that are inhabited so they can plant the divine tree there and grow a god tree and then eat the chakra fruit. Well, technically the way that this process goes has been retconned from when it was explained in Naruto, where the seed of a divine tree would fall off a comet and the Otsutsuki's would have to find this divine tree, and then they would have to sacrifice the entire population of the world to that divine tree in order to grow a chakra fruit and then eat that chakra fruit. And now the way that it's explained is that the Ototsukis actually have to bring a 10-tails with them and feed a lower ranking Ototsuki to the 10-tail to grow a god tree to then go through the process of creating a chakra fruit to which they can consume. And because this previous version of how to grow a divine tree has been retconned, we're obviously going to be focusing on the Boruto explanation. Because the Boruto explanation and the powers required for the Boruto explanation to happen play into our theory. So in order to make this theory make sense to you, I'm gonna have to briefly go over how an Otsutsuki sets up a divine tree to create a chakra fruit. So I've already touched on it earlier where I said that the Otsutsuki will bring a 10-tails with them to a planet. Otsutsukis travel in pairs, with one Otsutsuki being the higher rank and one Otsutsuki being the lower rank. These Otsutsuki kind of operate in a Hyuga type system, where Otsutsuki from the main family are usually the higher ranking and those from side families are usually the lower ranking. For those of you who have at least seen the Boruto movie, you'll understand that Momoshiki and Kinshiki were a pair, and Momoshiki was the higher ranking Otsutsuki with Kinshiki being the lower ranking. Upon bringing the 10-tails to a planet the Otsutsukis want to turn into a chakra fruit, the lower ranking Otsutsuki is fed to the 10-tails. And I know what you're saying,
well, Nick, why would the Otsutsuki's just kill themselves off like this?
well, technically, they're not killing themselves off. See, do you remember how Orochimaru was brought back during Naruto after being sealed by the Sword of Nabucco in his battle against Itachi? Sasuke captured and incapacitated Anko and then used the chakra and DNA that Orochimaru leaves in every single curse mark. He then bound that chakra and DNA to a part of Kabuto's body that was able to recreate Orochimaru's body. Essentially, lower ranking Otsutsukis go through exactly that, except instead of a curse marking, they have a karma seal. Now, the karma seal is a way for lower ranking Otsutsukis to reincarnate. Essentially, let's say that a lower ranking Otsutsuki finds me. They would place a karma seal on me, and assuming that I'm compatible with the karma seal, because a lot of people aren't, I would then gain a karma seal. Now, this karma seal is basically a hard drive of the entirety of the Otsutsuki's personality, thoughts, and abilities. And over time, that karma seal seeps into my body, and slowly but surely it changes me from a human to an Otsutsuki. And over that time, as I become more and more Otsutsufied, I get stronger and stronger, technically, until eventually one day I am 100% Otsutsuki. Upon reaching 100% Otsutsufication, should the lower ranking Otsutsuki die by being fed to a 10-tails or just killed, their consciousness would switch to my body. In essence, a karma marking is like a backup. And because of this, upon feeding the lower ranking Otsutsuki to the 10-tails, the lower ranking Otsutsuki isn't really killed, they're just transfer. Because of this, Otsutsuki are technically immortal. So long as they have a karma marking somewhere in the universe, they will reincarnate. However, should you hypothetically kill the person who has the karma marking and the Otsutsuki simultaneously or one after the other, then that Otsutsuki will be gone forever. Because an Otsutsuki can only have one karma marking at a time. So cool. Now we understand how a divine tree is made in Boruto canon and also how karma markings work. Now that you have a fundamental understanding of those two incredibly important things in Boruto's timeline and this theory, we can get cracking into Shibai Otsutsuki. See, Shibai is the catalyst for this theory becoming true. As you'll understand if you've watched Naruto or seen the Boruto movie, or even if you're keeping up with Boruto, Otsutsukis want to eat as many chakra fruits as possible, because every single chakra fruit makes them stronger. But it's not also only about strength. There is an end goal for every single Otsutsuki, and that is to transcend their body and reach godhood. See, upon eating thousands of chakra fruit, an Otsutsuki will transcend their very body, enter into a different dimension, and become a god. And for a long time, we simply understood this Otsutsuki god as an Otsutsuki god. We now understand that that Otsutsuki's god name is Shibai. Shibai is several millennia old, has eaten thousands of chakra fruit, and reincarnated through the karma multiple times. But as Shibai has ascended to this godlike level of power, he has access to a new ability called shinjutsu. Shinjutsu is basically the ninjutsu of the gods. A good example of shinjutsu within the confines of Naruto are the abilities of Daemon and Ada, who are two cyborgs created by a mad scientist to be some of the strongest people in the entirety of the universe. But the reason that these two cyborgs are some of the strongest people in the entirety of the universe is because this mad scientist, whose name is Amado, found the corpse of Shibai Otsutsuki. And we'll go over why Shibai Otsutsuki is technically dead in a second, but Amado, the mad scientist, was able to transplant part of Shibai's body onto these cyborgs. And by transferring part of his body to these cyborgs, they were each given one of Shibai's abilities. That is to say that each of them has one shinjutsu. Actually, there's three cyborgs. I forgot about Code. And these three cyborgs have the ability to see everything that has ever happened since the moment they were born with an ability called the Senrigan. And that technique is a bit complicated, so let me dive into it here real quick. The Senrigan confers the ability to see anything that has happened or is currently happening on Earth. A user of the Senrigan can be everywhere, and they can travel back in time and see everything that's happened from the moment they gained the Senrigan. So I'm 26. Let's say I had the Senrigan at birth. I could see everything that's happened since August 23rd, 1996. The second ability is the ability of Daemon, which confers Daemon the ability to reflect any incoming attack. Simply by thinking about attacking Daemon, any intent you have towards him is reflected onto you. So let's say, hypothetically, I had a gun pointed at Daemon's head and I pulled the trigger. That bullet would go through my brain. The third ability, which was given to Code, the main bad guy of Boruto, is a claw ability. Essentially, by slashing his claw-like hand, Code is able to put huge black claw marks down. And as Code has some of these black claw marks on his body, he can either teleport parts of his body to those claw marks, or his entire body, or one person with him at a time. In essence, it works like flying Raijin, except Code can just put his arm through, not his entire body. All of these are shinjutsu. The karma is also shinjutsu. It's stated that Shibai Otsutsuki was so powerful that he was able to create storms with the wave of a hand and call down bolts of lightning like Kirin simply by yelling. In fact, shinjutsu are referred to as divine miracles, not even abilities. And it's revealed to us that all ninjutsu is actually just a hollow attempt to recreate shinjutsu, which technically retcons the creation of ninjutsu. It does and it doesn't. Ninjutsu, as we understand, is what happened when Hagoromo tried to spread ninshu with the entirety of the world. Ninshu is a greater presence that connects all humans. It's spirituality. However, when humans combined the spiritual force with their physical energy, they created chakra that they could mold into ninjutsu. That, as we understood it, was why ninjutsu was created. With shinjutsu existing, that implies that ninjutsu wasn't created on Earth. In fact, shinjutsu was created and somehow humans got a hollow facsimile of it. While you could consider this being a retcon of ninjutsu's creation, there's also another way to look at it. Hagoromo, more likely than not, had access and knowledge of shinjutsu, because Momoshiki has access and knowledge to shinjutsu, and therefore so would Kaguya, and therefore probably Hagoromo and Hamura. So the reason that ninjutsu was created on Earth is because the fundamentals were set by somebody who understood shinjutsu in Hagoromo, but that's the best explanation I can think of currently. But back to Shibai. As I stated earlier, Shibai consumed so many chakra fruits that he ascended to a godlike state, meaning that Shibai, in order to be truly the perfect being, actually abandoned his own body, as the existence of a material and physical body is an imperfection. So upon abandoning his body, he left a physical corpse that Amado later found, and now lives in a separate dimension as a god. Amado says after reaching this godlike dimensional power that Shibai can make what we believe is impossible possible, meaning that Shibai most likely has reality warping powers. The ability to bend the laws of physics or time or life, we're not entirely sure quite yet. All we know is that things that we understand to be impossible, Shibai can make possible. Amado doubles down on this, stating that by making the impossible possible, that technically Shibai Otsutsuki's shinjutsu would be able to bring his daughter back to life, and that technically everything Amado has done up to this point has been to bring her back to life. Amado then states that bringing her back to life is actually relatively easy. Amado simply uploaded essentially her brain data to Kawaki's new karma, and says that if Kawaki then impresses this karma onto a fresh clone he makes, instead of that clone otsutsifying, that clone will actually his daughterify, meaning that Amado, with the use of the karma, has figured out how to bring people back to life. And while obviously the only current circumstance we see this happening is with Amado's daughter, there is a track that could bring us to possibly bringing other people back to life. See, currently as it stands, I wouldn't knock you for not believing in the validity of this theory, because as it stands, in order to bring somebody back to life, you need somebody who's compatible with the karma. You need to upload the entirety of somebody's brain into that karma, and then you have to have them place a karma on a fresh clone. But there's currently one person who we know to be compatible with the karma who's technically an empty vessel, and that person would be a person that was actually planned to be imprinted on prior in Boruto's story. See, for those of you who aren't reading Boruto, Code also has a karma marking, and he received his karma marking from the same person that Kawaki received his karma marking from, Ishiki. However, Code's karma marking wasn't black, it was white, meaning that Code only ever received the powers of Ishiki and would never truly be a vessel for Ishiki. However, because of this, Kawaki and Boruto actually planned to place a karma onto Code and use him as their reincarnation vessel when Momoshiki or Ishiki took over their respective bodies, because they understood that Code was compatible with the karma and he was technically an empty vessel. So if hypothetically Boruto was able to place his own karma on Code, when Momoshiki fully Otsutsufies Boruto's body and takes it over, Boruto could reincarnate in Code's body. It's complicated, I'm aware. And while this is still technically an option for Boruto, it might be how the story plays out down the line, the karma placed on Code could be anyone's. Code with the power of the shinjutsu karma could provide a lot of possibilities. If captured, Code could be given a fake karma just like Kawaki was by Amado, and that karma could hypothetically have somebody else's DNA in it, like Itachi's. And thus, if this version of Code was coerced into putting a karma on a freshly created clone, we, in the same way that Amado's daughter could come back to life, could see anybody reincarnated into Boruto. But this might seem like a stretch to you, so why on earth would this happen? Well, for a couple of reasons, actually. The first of which is obvious. It would be massive for the manga. The news of Itachi or Minato coming back to life would spread like wildfire. And while this may not be something that technically Kishimoto would think of, Kishimoto's editors have always had a big say in what he writes. I mean, Kishimoto wanted to kill off Neji and Rock Lee originally. It was his editors who told him not to. The second and more important state is the current state of Konoha. Momoshiki is slowly but surely taking over Boruto's body. Kawaki is a weapon, but is he truly loyal to Konoha? The answer is yes. He loves Naruto more than anything, but I'm just making hypotheticals for fun. Naruto's been nerfed. Sasuke has been nerfed. Shikamaru is not nearly as strong as he used to be. Everything is basically stacking up against Konoha. And while this isn't really the end of the world, because all of the 5 major villages now work together, there is genuinely really only one person with the skill set to battle against Otsutsukis, who would be willing to help out, that is. Not bringing Madara back, and that person would most likely be Itachi. Well, considering the fact that a clone brought back with the powers of karma probably wouldn't have chakra illness, things that Itachi could accomplish would be otherworldly, especially when you consider things like his Totsuka blade and his Yatamir. But just saying that Itachi would help the village fight is not a good enough reason. Yes, there's money, yes, it would help, but is that enough reason to redirect an entire storyline? The real reason I believe that it would hypothetically be Itachi is because we've been hinting at it for a while, mostly when it comes to storylines revolving around Sarada and Sasuke. See, a big part of Boruto has been the fact that Sarada doesn't actually really know about the Uchiha massacre or Itachi. Sarada has tried to do research on her clan, on the Sharingan, on her father. However, all of this information is restricted, kept behind doors, so people don't find out about Konoha's dark history. Itachi's presence has been hinted at through photos, and Sarada has asked Sasuke questions about him. And every single time, Sasuke sweeps it under the rug, saying that he'll explain it later. And Sakura is no exception to this rule. Itachi has arguably played a massive role throughout the duration of Boruto, as the undertones of his actions and the consequences of them play massively into the politics of current-day Konoha, and yet the information is restricted. Bringing Itachi back to the medium of the clone would not only be incredible for Sarada and Sasuke's growth, it would also venerate him in the eyes of Konoha, and also arguably probably bring us into one of Boruto's more interesting arcs where Sarada has to deal with what happened to her clan through the eyes of Itachi and Sasuke, finally. So not only would there be a massive amount of money involved, Itachi would be incredibly useful, but also I genuinely believe there has been hints throughout the duration of Boruto that point at Itachi's presence, and he's already been brought back once. But I also believe that this is genuinely a massive pull, and in reality, I just put this theory in the video so I could explain to you what Shibai Otsutsuki was. So now, not only are you more informed, but you also have a fun little theory to stew on. What do you guys think about Shibai Otsutsuki and the introduction of literal God in Naruto? How powerful do you guys believe Shibai is? Do you think Boruto and Kawaki are gonna have to fight him one day? And do you think through the reincarnation means we actually might see somebody important from Naruto's timeline reincarnated? Tell me in the comments below, and while you guys are down there, please be nice. I just wanted to tell you about something I was excited about. And also, genuinely do read Boruto. And while you're looking for the newest chapters of Boruto on Shonen Jump, please guys, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. The manga's good. The art isn't great, but the manga is good.